everybody, Poker Dad here for another video. So in this video here, I am looking at SPR, and what I did is I filtered for hands that go heads up the pot, where the SPR is 4 or less. And what I'm looking for here are spots where I could shove on the flop. So if you don't know what SPR is effective stack divided by the pot size. So you're going to run into this a lot with short stack players. Um, which is great because a lot of those players that are short stack are usually fishy type players anyway. So these are definitely situations that I know I have not been taking advantage of because I haven't been using SPR in my game, and it is probably, now that I've learned more about it, just the basics I've learned so far about it, seems like a very powerful statistic to have under your belt, especially playing in some of the fishy games that I tend to play in on Ignition. And also, if I ever play on Global Poker again, on Global Poker. But there are different ways to use it as well. Just the important thing to remember about SPR is that it's only to be used, you're only supposed to calculate it pre-flop and on the flop. SPR does not get recalculated on the turn or the river. And that's an important thing to remember, is really what you're looking at is the starting stacks, and then even more importantly, the stack on the flop. So I'm going to go through some hands here, and I'm going to take a look and see, some spots that maybe I could have played a little bit differently when we factor in SPR. So here we get a raisement under the gun player. Now it is important to remember, and I will say before each hand what limit we're playing, because that does obviously play a factor into this here. I was short. I was actually short stack here. So I must have been a hand where I lost the previous hand and didn't get a chance to restack up. This hand is being played at 5 NL, so we get a raise, and I am going to 3-bet. And 3-bet plays an important role also when it comes to SPR, because you're committing yourself more in these specific situations when you are when you are betting, and when you are 3-betting. But in this situation here, I am actually the small stack, which means I will actually be the effective stack. The effective stack, and we get a 4-bet here from the button. So right here, see, I'm actually the effective stack because I have the lower stack between him here. So given the stack sizes, if I do the math here, and I'll pull out a calculator. So right now, my effective stack is 2.44, and the pot is actually $1.84. So the SPR is 1. So really doing anything here but shoving just wouldn't make any sense. And I do shove, so that was the correct play. And then what happens after that, is as long as you're making the correct play, that's all that's important. So here we are playing NL5 again, and this time I am full stack, and I do throw out a bet, and looks then we get a 3-bet here from a player who had $5.15 in pre-flop, so he 3-bets here to 85 cents, and I'm going to 4-bet. And in most 4-bet pots, even versus a player like this, it's going to end up being an SPR of 4 or lower. And we get a call from the player instead. So I actually have the effective stack here. So the SPR would be 2.45 divided by, so the pot is actually bigger than the stack. So this right here, if he checks to me, then I should definitely shove. And if he just bets small, I should also shove. And he checks to me here, so this is a spot that I definitely need to shove. And I did shove correctly, and he folded. And the idea also of shoving is to not just shoving any old 2 cards. You want to be shoving top pair or better. So here we have ace-ace again. Actually, what I'm going to do, instead of doing it this way, I'm wonder if there's a better way that I can do it that we're not just seeing all. I don't know. I don't think there's really a better way except for um, doing it in some kind of date order. I guess we could do it in some kind of date order from newest to this way. Then we're not just looking at ace, 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 ace here. So actually, let me do that. So here we look at king, king. I think that's actually the better way to do it here. So this hand was played at NL5. So most of these hands here are going to be played at NL5 actually, which kind of makes sense considering that we're playing NL5 right now anyway. And we'll see plenty of short stack players here. So we get a raise from a player who was close to full. Actually, no, this player has a bunch. This is NL5, so he has almost 200 big blinds. And we get a call from a player who had 100 big blinds. And we get another call there from a player who has over 100 big blinds. And I now, of course, am going to 3-bet this here. And we go to the flop. So here, this player is a 28-18, so he's not really a fishy type player. So that kind of changes things too. You don't want to be shoving as much versus more reggish type players. And here, it's really close. We pretty much almost have the same exact stack here. But if we do the calculation, since I do have the lowest, we're at a 3.35. So a 3.35 doesn't mean automatic shove. It means we can play more situationally here. So my opponent checks to me here. I mean, I could either bet or I can shove if I decided to here. So here I decided just to do a half pot bet. I mean, this right here is not really a shoving situation. Really, when I'm looking for a shoving situation, it's going to be 3 SPR lower. And the reason why I included bets, I included SPR 4 is to see some spots where the SPR actually wasn't above 3, but I didn't want too many hands like that. I mean, that was above 3. So here I have ace, ace. And I don't think we didn't just look at his hand. No, we didn't. And I, of course, am going to 3-bet here. And he will raise. Wait, I think we just did look. We just looked at the exact hand. Sorry. So here I have queen, queen. And let's see here. So our opponent raises here. And we get a call. And we get a 4-bet actually from this Moraki guy. And I so this was a 3-bet. I 4-bet, and we get a fold, and then we get a call. So we go to the flop and the SPR here. Now I don't have top pair here, so this isn't really an auto shove situation here. But let's see. I actually have the effective stack here, so it's kind of close. So this actually might be like around this might be above 3 again, just like the previous one. So 3.17 divided by 3.94. No, actually, it still is below a 1 SPR because my effective stack is smaller than the pot. So what this means here is I am pot committed here, and there, this is a hand that I just can't fold because I am pot committed in this spot here, and that's because of the pre-flop action. So when he bets into me here, I have no choice but to call. It really is a no decision. And I remember this hand, I did give it a lot of decision, and it shouldn't have been. It's a no decision. I have to call it. I'm pot committed at this point. And I folded. So that's a really bad job by me because I was pot committed in this hand, and I just got to call it, and it sucks sometimes. I'm going to lose. Sometimes I'm going to win. But being pot committed is something I definitely I need to call there. The only thing to think about is I could always think about the fact that I'm in position and he might be shoving with a hand like ace, but I think in a spot like this is I'm pot committed and I just have to call. In fact, this is an interesting. I'm going to write this one down. I want to post this one in a forum, and I want to ask when it comes to SPR. When we're thinking about SPR, is this a spot that I need to call with, with a hand like queen, queen? So I'm just going to write this down in my notebook to post this in a forum. Queen, queen, less then 1 SPR, and I'm going to post that in a forum and see if that's something I should be doing. Let's take a look at the next hand. So here I have ace 10. So another thing, I just want to go back to this hand. Actually, one thing I just wanted to think about also is in terms of range here. Well, I mean, can we really worry about range? His 3-bet percentage was 25%, but we don't have any hands on him. So, you know, I think it's kind of tough to think about that and to think about how I could use equity here. And also I was calling as well. So it's interesting. I'm not really sure. Here we have ace 10. And we get a raise from the button. And I 3-bet it in this from the small blind with ace 10. So that's putting us in a potential SPR situation. But we don't get top pair here, so we don't really have anything. Let's just calculate the SPR, because again, the SPR is not, we're calculating it now, and we could always check and possibly get top pair on the river. I mean, on the turn. So let's see. The effective stack here is 4.75 divided by $1.25, so it's over 3. So we are not pot committed here. So we can play this hand a little bit more selectively. And when we receive a bet, we could easily fold it, especially 28% pot odds. Because if we just think about the 4-2 rule, if we want to go back and think about the 4-2 rule, 28%. We actually could. Actually, truth is, we actually could call this bet. We could actually call this bet. I'm just curious what our equity is here. I know I'm kind of mixing two different things together, but I just want to figure out what our equity would be here when this guy is calling a 3-bet, which I can give him a 5% 3-bet range because he's calling it. Give him something like that. And I mean, my sizing is terrible right now. If I just took 4 hearts, 3 of hearts, and 6 of spades, my equity was 22%. So I mean, the 4-2 rule. I could actually look at it when I'm thinking about the 4-2 rule and just thinking about, well, really one of the there are 8 cards. Well, there are 8 cards that help me, so 8. Yeah, so 8 times 4 is 32. So it's close. I think I could definitely have called there, but anyway, that's one of the. But you know what though? That's also one of the disadvantages of being out of position as well. Just going back to my positional video, where I can actually fold there, even though I don't have the, even though I have the slight odds. It's such a borderline call at that point. I can actually fold there, given that I'm out of position, and I'm going to be at another disadvantage on the turn as well. So just got to think about position as well, and I'm out of position here, so it's definitely a spot that I can definitely just fold, since I can't play it aggressively anyway. But anyway, back to SPR. Here I raise it up 12 cents, and we get a 3-bet, and I 4-bet, and my opponent shoves. And at this point here, again, we are pretty much pot committed at this point, because I mean it's less than 1 SPR, so we're pot committed, and we just got to call the shove. We actually took this one down. Here we have ace queen. So here I raise. And again, this is very, very similar to the previous example. And I think here is a spot. We don't have top pair. We don't have top pair. So, I mean, this would definitely not be a shoving situation. And I don't think we're really committed to the pot here. The effective stack is $4.42 divided by $1.35. So this is more a situational play. And in this spot here, we are out of position, which makes it even tougher on us here. So when he bets here, I mean, given we're being given great pot odds, and we do have a gut shot. So this is a better spot where I can use the 2-4 rule and say that with 34% equity, 32% equity, I could probably actually call this here. And again, thinking about pot, we're not, we're never pot committed in this particular pot here. So when we check, and if he bet, we could easily fold it. And same idea. Here we have Jack Queen, and I 3-bet it. So you notice that a lot of these low SPR pots are coming from 3-bets in this situation because we're not facing so many short stacks as I would like on Ignition. And again, I don't have top pair, top kicker here, plus I'm out of position. And the SPR here in this case doesn't seem to be too bad. This is $3.66 divided by 0.93, so it's almost 4 SPR. We're not pot committed. We could play this situationally, so we can kind of play it like a regular hand and really not have to worry about it and play at a position and easily fold. Here we have King Queen from the button suited. And again, a 3-bet, which is going to happen in this spot here. And actually, I am going to have the effective stack and the effective stack here. Again, don't have top pair, don't have top pair or better. And again, this seems like a spot where me being the effective stack. We've got 3 SPR. We're not committed, and we could just play it as such. Here again, Queen Queen. This is again from yesterday's session. We get 3-bet, and we raise it, and he raises again, and we raise again, and we are all in. And I think that is, of course, the proper play there. Here is King King, and we're in the button. We raise it up 30 cents. And there's a call. So here's an interesting one because this one here is a single raise pot. It's not a 3-bet pot, but our opponent is short stack. We do have an overpair, and the SPR here in this one is 3.8. So again, we are not pot committed here. We do not have to shove in this situation. Now we can still shove given that our opponent is a recreational player. He's short stack. His stats are 55-21. So we can still definitely shove here. But we can play it a little bit, play it a little bit differently too. But we still can get it all in by the river. When he checks us here, we just put out a simple bet, and he calls. And now the ace comes out, so now it makes it a little bit tougher because we don't have top pair. He bets to us here. We're not pot committed, so we can actually fold here in this spot. Our equity is still decent, though, and he's giving us 24% pot odds. So I think this is just simply a spot where we can just call the bet. And then the 7 comes out. Now we're kind of in trouble here. And, he doesn't shove all of his stack in here. But I think this is a spot that we can just definitely get out of the way. I do call it, and we actually end up taking it down. What was his pot odds on the river? His pot odds were 24%. So, I mean, I think actually that's fine. If we're taking a look at this player and we could just make a really quick range for him here, being a 55 VPIP. And I just want to go through, just look at his particular range versus flop. He's got such a huge range that he could probably miss his flop a ton. And maybe even miss the river. Let's see, 2 of hearts, 5 of spades, and 8 of diamonds. Yeah, so his range only hits this board 24% of the time, and I just want to see on the river what my equity is just versus range. I'm not going to take out cards based on action. Yeah, so I mean, just not even based on action, our equity here is 61%. And I mean, if you want to just take a look at action real quick and take a look at what he would bet on what he would lead out the betting on the turn, like a straight, a set, two pair, top pair, um, pocket pair, well, top pair, middle pair, middle pair. He could. Top pair at this point was what was aces. Middle pair was eights. He could bet something like that too as a bluff, even his weak pairs, and he could try and bluff like a lot of hands here, and still even we have 57% equity. So when the river comes as a seven of hearts, he's a bad player. He could still try and bluff us, and would still have more than enough equity versus that particular range with the 25% pot odds. So I think we just got to call it with 25% pot odds. I think if we bet pot, we could definitely fold it. So we weren't, but the bottom line is here we were not pot committed here, and we were able to play situationally. And really in this spot here, I think we looked more at focusing on pot odds, and the pot odds that he gave us, we just had to call it. Here I have ace 8. So this is on zone and L5. So zone, here we're going to face a lot more short stacks. So here ace 8 suited, and we get a 3-bet from the button. Again, we're going to see this a lot with three bets too. And I 4-bet the ace 8. So our opponent has an effective stack of $4.80. So this looks like close to. This is like close to. Just eyeballing it real quick, looks pretty close to a 1.5 SPR, and that's one thing I could do is I could just round, to quickly figure this stuff out, just round up, 5 divided by 3 is around 1.5 SPR, so 4.8 divided by 2.67, yeah, around 1.79. So we're definitely pot committed here, but we don't get top pair, and we're out of position. So I mean, this is a spot here where we can easily fold to a bet. Now we do get top pair, so we have better. We have top pair plus. There is a flush. There is a straight draw potential here for him to have queen 10. But we could always check, and then we could just even check and shove here. He checks again, and then the river hits a jack, so we actually have a full house. So I mean, I think the best play here is just going to be shove and see if he calls. We just put out a a bet, not a shove, of course, and our opponent calls it. But I think we could have even shoved there. And here we have ace king, and the dealer raises us the button, and we're 3-betting, 4-betting, all that other good stuff. So we're definitely going to have a very low SPR here. So if I just take a look real quick, this is obviously just a situation where out of position, I can check and then shove, or I can just shove here out of position. But I think the best play is probably going to be to check and shove. So when he bets here, he actually has done the shoving job for us. So we just easily call it. So here's an interesting one, Jack 2, and the reason why this is just a situation where we will just bet, just shove if we get top pair. We don't, but we are kind of pot committed here, but we're not really. So we can being in position helps us here to just fold out of the situation. And there was really nothing to do we could have really done here because of the fact that our opponent was small blind and was already super short stack. Here we have ace queen, and we get a very small 3-bet from a short stack player, and we call it here. So this is an interesting situation where 4-betting probably wouldn't have made much sense because of the fact that he was short stack. If I was going to have to do anything, then I would just shove the ace queen right there versus him. It wouldn't make any sense to 4-bet him anything less than anything. It wouldn't make any sense to 4-bet him anything less than a shove, because if we take a look at his at the SPR here, $1.97 divided by 0.42. Well, okay, actually, the SPR at that point was 4. So I mean, the thing is, if I would have 3-bet, then we would have definitely been in a. If I would have 4-bet him, then we definitely would have been in a shoving situation. But as it stands, because his bet was so small, we can play this more situationally here. So $1.97 divided by 52 is 3.78. So his small bet actually made it. If he would have if he would have 3-bet larger, then I could have definitely shoved at that point. But as it's played here, we're in position, and if he checks us here, this is actually a spot where I could, just looking at positional play, where I actually can throw out a bet here to get a fold, and I do, and he calls it, which is fine. And again, I could just bet here and try and get a fold, and when he raises it, of course, we just fold it. Of course, one thing we want to remember is that the micros, you really can't bluff too much at the micros, so probably a turn bet, probably not as beneficial when he's already called the flop. Here we have 10-9 suited, and I bet 15 cents, and we get a 3-bet from the big blind. So there's another spot where it's a 3-bet pot. And the SPR here, if I'm just going to round it, 1 and 4, so it's about a 4 SPR approximately. So we're not in a situation where shoving is necessary or anything like that. I do have an open-ended straight draw, which is great, so of course I'm going to bet that here. And when he raises now, again, we are still on the flop here. What does this do for the SPR? I have the lowest effective stack. So right now we are in a less than we are in a shoving situation here, where I'm not going to call this bet. I could just shove it, but because it's not top pair or better, I don't think I would shove this spot here, even though I do have 8 outs still to go. He's pot committing me here, where I just have to shove it. So I really think probably folding might be the best spot here. So this is an interesting situation. I'm going to take a look at this one also. I'm going to post this hand as well. 10-9 suited. SPR. I assume I fold. No, I did call. So okay, good. Look, I did. Well, I mean, look, I didn't have much behind me to begin with as well, so shoving obviously. But I think I could have folded it as well. As it turns out, I did get it straight, so worked out great for me. All right, let's take a look at another one here. Here I open up with 10-9 suited and the cutoff, and we get a call from a short stack player. So let's take a look here. So if I say $2.50, this is about a 3 SPR. A little bit more than I think it's around a 3 SPR, 3.8. So almost close to a 4 SPR actually. So this is a situation where I could just play situationally here. I'm in position. He checks. I mean, I could either bet or check here. I think I kind of like a bet over a check, and I do bet here, and he folds it. Here we have ace queen suited, and I 3-bet in the button, and we get a call. So here he is a short stack player, and the pot here is we're looking at roughly, if I just want to try and estimate it here, a 2 SPR approximately, maybe a little bit less than a 2 SPR, 2.28 SPR. So that's a good job by me. And calculating here, and I do have top pair, so I think there's a spot here. If he checks, then I'm just going to want to I just want to shove here. He checks, so I think I should just shove in my whole stack here. I only bet 57 cents, and so I think I lose an opportunity because he might call the shove here, and I could win this whole stack. And said he folds, which is fine too. He would have folded to a shove, and he folds to that regardless. This is just great for me to figure out ways that I can get stacks and make more money by getting stacks. It's such a simple concept that I never even thought about before. Here we have ace ace. Hopefully we didn't look at this hand already. Maybe we were doing ace aces. Take a look. So I mean, this is a spot here where I'm actually the effective stack, and I think this is clearly a situation where I am out of position, so I can't just go and shove it. Although, my hand is so powerful, I really could. It's a 1.74 SPR, so we are definitely pot committed here. I could shove it or not. So I don't like to bet. I should just either shove it or not, shove it or check. And he would have folded anyway, of course, to a bet or a shove. So maybe he calls a shove, and we can take down the stack and double up. Here again, ace ace. And we get a 3-bet there from a player who had about a little bit over 500, 400, 100 big blinds. And of course, then we are going to make the pot bigger. So here in this spot, we are both pot committed at this point. We looked at this hand already. All right, 8-8. So this is an interesting spot here. So I 3-bet. All right, let's go back. We have a short stack player here. So this is a spot here where I need to be, I need to look at this player stack and realize that if I 3-bet here, we are likely going to be in an SPR situation of 3 or less post flop, and that's a situation that I don't want to be in with hands like low pocket pairs. So I'd say anything less than tens. And even tens, maybe even queens or jacks. I don't want to be 3-betting here because then at that point I'm making the SPR lower and making myself pot committed with a hand that might be really tough to win with here. So in this situation with a short stack player, I am better off just calling this bet. I'm not folding, of course, but better off just calling this bet instead of 3-betting, where then I'm putting us in a low SPR situation post flop, which is going to make me pot committed. So, and that's what happens here, and now I'm in a really tough spot because I'm kind of pot committed on this board, and I'm out of position as well, which makes this even harder. If we take a look at the SPR, it's 1.94. So that's a mistake that I made by 3-betting here. And I check, and he checks behind, which is great. But again, we're still pot committed, but I can still kind of get out of this hand here, and I can definitely fold here at least. But that's a reason why it was a bad idea to 3-bet there. Here I have king queen offsuit, and again the same exact situation. I'm 3-betting versus short stack player. Pretty much now making myself pot committed. And the good thing is here we do get a king here. The SPR is definitely below 3. It's about, let's say it's about about 1.5 or 2. Oh, it's actually more. Okay, so it's actually more than 3. I guess that's because of the size of. You know what it was? That's because of the size. That was the size of my. Oh, you know why? Okay, because he was a limper. And I just bet up to 20. So it's actually not a 3-bet pot. So we are not pot committed here. And we could just play this hand kind of normally. Still hoping to get it all in by the river, but, it's not as necessary here. See, here we have a 6 suited. And we get a very, very small 3-bet from the button. Which I then decide to raise. And I raise that because I'm going to be out of position. So right now, I know that my absolute position will be poor, so I want to take the initiative in this pot and try and get him to fold pre-flop. Does not happen, of course. And so I just want to go back here now. Let's just take a quick look. One other thing. I know why I did it, but here's why I shouldn't have done it. He is a short stack player at $3.76. So by doing this, He has 3-bet, and now my 4-bet has put me in an awkward situation post flop. I'm out of position. We're going to have a low SPR, so I'm pretty much now pot committed to this pot, being out of position. So the 4-bet is really a bad idea versus a short stack player. And we go post flop, and to do this with a suited hand is just a really, really bad idea. Now I just put myself in really almost an impossible situation. It's a 1.98 SPR pot, and I lose some extra money for no reason here. And it's a situation here where out of position I really can't shove. I can just check. I can check shove. As it turns out, in this particular hand, I end up hitting nothing, and we just what did I do? Yeah, so wow. Okay, so very, very poorly played, of course, because I shouldn't have 4-bet, and I don't know what the hell I don't know what the hell I'm calling with. That was a situation I'm trying to mind read the guy, taking math out of the equation and just mind reading. I think I said, well, he gave me 25% pot odds I can call, so that was obviously not smart. I mean, he was bluffing too, but again, a situation where we're pot committed. I mean, do I really want to shove there? Absolutely not. I don't have top pair better. How long is this video going? I didn't expect this video to be this long. About 36 minutes. I'm going to do a couple more. So here we have 9-9. And the button raises. And so here I raise. And I think that's fine. I can definitely 3-bet here. This player has $5.17. So, we're not going into a deep SPR situation. And I mean, he's a short stack, and it's about close to like 4-1. So, we're just under 4 SPR. So this is a hand that we can just play pretty situationally. Unfortunately, we're out of position here. And when he bets to me here, full pot, of course, I got to fold. Here we have ace-5. Ace-5 suited, and I 3-bet here, which is fine. He's a full stack player. I'm out of position here, so I'm trying to take the initiative. And when he 4-bets me, though, this is interesting because he's 4-betting me, and he's like min 4-betting me here. I think I could actually fold this hand here, fold this ace-5 being out of position. Now also, in the process, we are making the SPR much smaller here. And I do decide to call it. So the SPR here is now into 3, so this again put me in kind of a tough spot. We're kind of pot committed with any kind of betting that might happen. So I definitely wouldn't want to call a bet here at all. I'd either be folding or shoving. $4.03 divided by 2 is a 2 SPR. So really, calling that bet put me in a really awkward position that I'm going to be playing out of position, which puts me in a really tough spot. So in a way, it's almost better that I shove pre-flop and don't call. So I either want to fold or I want to shove there, since we're in a situation now where we're going to be out of position to begin with. So it puts me in a really tough spot. Then he bets pot and I have to fold, and that was just unnecessary. So that was my look at SPR. I will be studying this and all the other things I learn from today in the next couple of days. So I think this is really interesting stuff that I've never once thought about. And, I'm glad I have a database to be able to look at this kind of stuff. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. If you like what you saw, please subscribe. And until next time, Poker Dad out.